Hello and welcome back to the IWIN series episode 11. Now today I'm going to be going through something called the PainPoint Portal, which is something that I created when I realized that I was really struggling to actually understand what my customers were struggling with, how they were feeling, and what I needed to do to actually solve their problems. So I created this PainPoint Portal, and as you can see there are 8 different sections here. Now I'm going to be running through what these different 8 sections are and also giving you a real-time example, building it out with a super simple example so you can understand how to actually use it yourself. This is also going to be linked in the description, so if you want to use the PainPoint Portal yourself, you are more than welcome to access that down below. Now, let's just get straight into it. The PainPoint Portal starts off with symptoms. Now, the reason why we start off with symptoms is because by starting off with symptoms, we can actually identify if someone is worth working with, right? Now, just to give you an example, what we're going to do is we're going to be using a fitness example. So let's say you've got a weight loss program, right? A really obvious symptom is that someone is overweight, okay? That's it. That's a symptom of them not having a good health. It's a symptom of them having poor nutrition. It's a symptom of them having lack of impulse control. That is a very, very clear and visual symptom, and that's why we're using it for now. Obviously, sometimes symptoms are a little bit less obvious. You've got to probe around, you've got to ask a few questions to try and figure out what these symptoms are. But just for ease, we're going to say the symptom is that someone is clearly overweight, right? Now, off the back of this, you can then go into the emotions. Now, how do they actually feel about them being overweight? And typically at this point, you need to ask a few more questions. You can probably guess how people feel. Some people might feel a little bit ashamed, right? And by the way, I used to be quite overweight, so I feel like I'm in a place where I can speak about this kind of stuff. You feel ashamed, you feel embarrassed, you feel determined to make a change. These are the emotions that you feel as your potential customer, right? And this is really important for you to know, and the reason why is because the better you know your customer, the more you can market towards them, the easier it is to sell to them, because you've got a much deeper sense of what is actually driving them, right? And when people feel like you understand them, that's when they buy, right? They don't buy because the product looks nice. They buy because they feel like the product understands their situation, understands their pains, and understands how they can go from A to B, okay? So that's the emotional side of things. The next thing that people want, or that is really useful, is to actually label themselves, right? And there's multiple ways that you can kind of interpret this, but I think it's really important that we help people to label it. Even if they don't label it themselves, if we label it for them, it's a really easy way for them to understand, okay, I actually can contextualize my problem. There was a video that I was watching, and there's this guy who's on a suicide prevention list, a suicide prevention hotline, and it was his first day, and the main advice that he was given is that when you're speaking to people, just try and label their emotion, okay? So this guy got a phone call from someone. He said, look, I've got a family trip, I've got this coming up, and I'm just I don't feel good about this, I don't feel good about that. And the helpline guy, he just said, hey man, you sound a bit frantic. And all of a sudden the guy calmed down a little bit, and he was like, yeah, I am frantic. And even that just acknowledgement of how someone feels helps them to realize what the problem actually is. So if we can label them in a certain way that helps them, that's obviously really good for progress, right? Because when we can label them something and they're bought into that label, it means that the next kind of part of the selling process actually just makes more sense, right? So for example, if you are trying to label someone a weight loss, and let's say we put a label down, right? And we say that the label is that they're undisciplined. Okay? That's the label that people might think about themselves at. However, one set of customers might think that they're undisciplined. The other set of customers might think, I have health conditions, right? So it's my health that's the main problem, okay? So we want to be able to think about, okay, well, what's the label that this person actually identifies themselves as? And we want to use that label to help move the conversation forward. So if you label someone that's undisciplined as saying like, oh, you've got health conditions, you've got like, these are the reason why, you know, you're not being able to lose weight. And that person on the other side is thinking, oh no, it's just the discipline issue. Like, there's going to be more friction. So if you can find a label that actually means that both of you guys are on the same page and there's a much more concise problem to tackle, it makes selling the solution much easier. So that's why the next step of the label is so important. Okay. Now, let's stick with the undisciplined one, right? What's the cause of this? Okay. Like, what would be the cause of someone being undisciplined? What's the cause of this label? Okay. So we can then say that the cause of someone being undisciplined is maybe because they have poor habits, right? And maybe another cause is the fact that they've got bad, negative people around them. People that don't support their goals, people that don't actually try and help them. Okay? And you can list a lot of causes, right? You can list a lot of different things within this, but we're just going to stick to a couple just to make it easy to understand, right? So this is helping us to understand the underlying issues that is causing this label, that is causing these emotions, which is resulting in symptoms. You can hopefully start to see like how this works like from a backwards point of view, right? So each layer that we go into digs a little bit deeper, right? It goes like, okay, we've got a bit of an understanding. Like, it's like an onion, right? Like, every single time we go from stage 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, all the way to 8, we get deeper and deeper in towards the center. Now, once you understand the cause of whatever it is that they're experiencing, we can then start to look at what their first order pain is. Now, the first order pain is really, really important, and the difference between first order pain and second order pain is that first order pain is just like immediate, like top level, like concerns, top level struggles that they're like, okay, I don't feel good about this. Okay, so for example, weight loss is really easy because a first order pain is that they might not feel good about going out, right? Or like they might not fit into the clothes that they like. Okay, so don't fit into clothes they like, right? Or maybe there's like another one which is like, don't feel confident going to the beach, right? And from a marketing point of view, that's great. Like, because you can just say, hey, do you want to finally fit into those clothes that you've been waiting to? Hey, do you want to feel confident when you go into the beach this summer? Like, that's a good first order pain, right? And often that can be enough to bring someone into your kind of circle to be like, hey, by the way, we can help you with this. What I think a lot of entrepreneurs don't do, that I try to pay more attention to, is what's the second order pain, okay? And the second order pain is like, here we've got long-term consequences. Maybe that could be improved a little bit in terms of the definition, but the second order pain is more on a deeper level. Like, I know that if I go and ask someone who's overweight, like, about these symptoms, they can tell me about this, the emotions, the label, the cause. They can also tell me their first order pains. Often, people never have the conversation around what their second order pains are. Like, someone might say that, like, I'm really deeply ashamed of who I am, or I don't feel like I'm a good role model for my kids, or just the self-reflection aspect of what they're truly struggling with on a deeper level is, if you can help and guide someone to a conclusion on what their pain is, like, let's just take the parent example. Let's say you're a mom and you want to try and lose weight and you want to be like, look, I want my kids to grow up with a healthy mom. Like, I want them to know that I'm going to be around. Like, I don't want my health to be a problem in terms of like their future. Okay. That is so much deeper than I'm trying to fit into a nice dress. But like, typically when you ask someone like what their problem is, or like you want to lose weight, like why is that? They'll give you like a first order pain, right? My recommendation is that you try and dig a little bit deeper, like what's on the inside, like what actually are they feeling on a much deeper personal level. And if you can understand what the second order pain is, then you build a much stronger relationship, because anyone can sell the first order pain. Anyone can come and sell this. It takes a special kind of person to be able to go in and figure out what the second order pain is, and then sell the second order pain and be like, look, like, of course we want to help you get into the right clothes and we want to make you feel confident when you go to the beach, but What we really want is for you to be a role model to your kids. Can you see if someone said that to you, like compared to like going to the beach and feeling confident, like that's just a different level. Like it's just a different level of motivation. So that's like layer 6 of the PainPoint Portal. The next thing that we're going to look into is the barriers. Okay, so let's say you're going through this process. You know, someone's telling you the symptoms, emotions, all the way up until the second order pains. At this point, you want to figure out, okay, well, what is it that's stopping you from blah blah blah? Like, what is preventing you from getting to that next level? So let's say, even if we look back at causes and we say, okay, you said that you've got poor habits. Why do you have poor habits? Is it because you don't know how to build good habits, right? And that might be it. Don't know how to build good habits. Is it that you don't have the right people around you, so there's no one around you that actually can help you? Like, these are the barriers that you need to, again, like what's important with this PainPoint Portal, and we'll get to it at the end as well, is that for each layer, each stage, this is not your assumption, and you're using this without like consulting a potential client when you're going through a sales process or when you're going through your marketing. Like, this is good for you to test you in your marketing, but if you're on a sales call, what I would say is that you want to be able to get people to admit or talk about each one of these different sections at some point, right? If you can go through this on a sales process, like, it's really helpful for you to identify each of these different things. And if I can guarantee you, if you just go into a sales call and you just try and sell them your product, compared to like sitting down and like going through these different things one by one, you'll be much more likely to close because you've actually built a relationship with them. People feel like you understand them, and again, like, that's why they're going to buy. So understand what the barriers are, right? And don't just assume what the barriers are. Ask them, hey, what do you think your barriers are? Why do you think that this has never changed before? And from that point, you're going to get a lot more information. And every time you have a sales call, you can then take that information, you can plug it back into the Pain Portal and make it better. Like, this isn't something that you make once and then that's it. This is something that you make and then you continue to keep building it, right? So you've got all these different things, right? I just realized I haven't said role model to kids. Okay? So, and this would actually be, they're a poor role model to their kids. Now, ultimately, the next thing that we want to look at is the desires. So let's say you went through all this kind of stuff. If someone talks about all these different things, the desire comes up naturally, right? Like, they're naturally going to be sitting after doing this kind of talk or after having this conversation with you to be like, well, I know what I want and it's this, right? So what is the desire that they want? Okay, maybe it's really specific, right? Maybe it's about, like, they want to get to a target weight. Maybe they want to fit into certain clothes. Maybe there's really specific things that they want. But asking them the question firstly is going to be really helpful. But trying to tie it down to something tangible, in my eyes, has always been quite helpful, because it means that it's much easier for you to sell something to them because they know what they're getting, right? You can also make it emotional. So let's say someone might say, I want to be a better role model to my kids. So it could be like, want to feel like a great role model. And you might be sitting there thinking, well, how the hell do I sell that? Right? Like, how the hell do I actually make this the thing that I sell? And there's a really good saying that I was taught fairly early in business and I'm really grateful for. And it's, sell them what they want and give them what they need. Okay? So let's say someone says that they want to feel like a really great role model, right? Like, you need to say, hey, look, this is what you want, okay? For you to get there, this is what you need. And you don't even need to communicate what they need, but let me play this out so you can see, like, exactly what I'm talking about. I'm on a sales call and I'm speaking to a prospect. Like I said, maybe it's a mother, she's a little bit overweight, she wants to be able to lose some weight, so she's a better role model to her kids, okay? If she's saying, like, I want to feel like a great role model for my kids, I would then say, okay, what needs to be done for you to feel like you're a great role model for your kids? Oh, I just want to lose this weight. I want to have a healthier, more active lifestyle. Okay, perfect. And how would we do that? What barriers do we need to get over? I need to get the right people around me, and I need to start building good habits. Okay, great. So you want to feel like a great role model, right? And you keep that want. That want is so prominent within their life. You want that want to be at the forefront of what you're saying. And then you say, okay, look, what I'm going to do is each week I'm going to coach you on how you can build better habits, and I'm going to be your biggest supporter. So this is what they need, right? This is what they actually need to come over. Like, they need to get. This is what they want, right? So you say, I'm going to do these things so that you can have this desire, so that we can fulfill that want of yours. But to get that want and to satisfy that want, we first have to make sure that these needs, like these musts, these absolute necessities, need to be taken care of, right? And that's the way that you sell it to them. And that's the way that your marketing should be done as well. If you try to market, oh, I'm going to teach you how to build good habits, most people won't be that interested. But if you say, I'm going to help you to become a better role model for your kids, if that speaks to their wants, that's the thing that they're going to bite at. So that's the thing that we want to make sure that moving forward, when it comes to marketing and selling what you offer, we find the best results, or we find it easiest to close people when we're focusing on what their desires are, rather than like the mechanism of how it all works. Okay? So this is the PainPoint Portal. Hopefully you can see the immense amount of value that you can get from going back to this week on week, month on month, sales call after sales call. Like, this is going to really help to build a strong foundation for you, your business. And if you have if you have other employees in the future and you want to help them understand that the customer better and quickly, then just showing them something like this is going to immediately familiarize them with who am I targeting, how do they feel, what problems am I solving, what do they actually want. So I would absolutely recommend that you fill something like this in. The link to use this is going to be in the description below. And if you have any questions on how to use it, you're a little bit unsure about anything, just drop a comment down below and I'll be more than happy to answer it. Hope you guys are doing well, and I will speak to you on the next episode of the IWIN series.